Hey guys, what is a good coach? Can you follow the advice that coach are giving online without a grain of salt? I'm not sure. I will present to you some analysis as to why is the case and what I believe could be the characteristics of a good coach. So first, let me tell you a bit about myself. So I studied in a business school that's ranked regularly as like almost number one in Europe according to the Financial Times. I've got some financial certifications. I work in investment funds and banks. So I think I've got the credential, if I wanted to build up a channel about finance and investment strategies and giving you advice or whatever. Probably that would have more views than the channel I'm currently making about running. So why am I not doing that? Honestly, it's because in good conscience, I don't feel like I'm able and should give advice like that generically to many people. I think that I would need to know more about you, know about your profile. For example, can you take risk? Do you want to take risk? That's not the same thing. And to come to those conclusions, I would need to interview you and know more about your financial situation, about your psychology as well. So yeah, I don't think I can give general investment advice to anyone without more details about yourself. The best I could do probably is present the benefits and drawbacks of some investments. So for example, real estate, very good for many reasons. The drawback being that it's very illiquid, you cannot get your money back easily in case you've got some urgency. So yeah, that's the only thing I could probably do. And I think for running, it's a bit the same. You can present strategies, training strategies, approaches, and present why they are good for, and then let people decide. But I don't think you can really say to someone you should do that. Or I'm saying that because most of the time in running forums, Facebook or letsrun.com or whatever, you can see someone asking a question, and many people jump. Sometimes not coach, sometimes just amateur. But anyway, even good coach could jump in and say, you should do that, you should whatever, without asking more question. And to me, it's a bit puzzling. I mean, you need to ask question to be able to answer a question. So I will give you more details, more examples to really showcase my point. So in the former videos about the Maffetone method and the 180 formula, I used the example of Lionel Sanders and Talbot Cox. Lionel Sanders having a max heart rate of 169 or something quite low like that, and Talbot Cox more like in the 200 for the same age, 32. So even though the math formula would give the same result for the two of them, that for one that would yield overtraining. So Lionel Sanders would have to train at lactate threshold or above, whereas Talbot Cox would maybe not undertrain, but you see the difference in effort in their daily run for those two different cases, just because of a different genetic max heart rate, which is just a genetic difference. It's nothing to do with their performance and their fitness level. So there are outliers both in the lower and upper extremes, and we can see that those outliers kind of don't work very well with a generic formula like the 180 formula, which again, this formula is pretty good for most of the people. It just starts to be detrimental, I believe, when you've got people who are in the extremes of the bell curve of the distribution of those max heart rate. So that was one example. Another example is the sweat rate. The usual advice is you should drink about, I believe the usual advice is 500 millimeters, half a liters of water per hour minimum. So between half and 1 liter per hour is the general recommendation, I believe you can find online. Again, that probably works for most people, but then you've got outliers. So there is a video about by Nick Bear, and he got some results from a labs, and they really tested accurately, his sweat rate and sodium loss. So he put some kind of tampon on his arm or there, and he ran for 1 hour. The cotton absorbed all the electrolytes that were lost by his body. They sent that to the lab. The result came back. So he's losing, I think it was 3 liters of water per hour, which is amazing, of course. So it's put him in the 99% of people with the highest rate of water loss per hour. In terms of sodium, he was in the top 84%, so losing a lot of sodium as well. So all of that to say that the general recommendation for him is completely off. So at best, he would consume 1 liter per hour, but he's losing 3 liters. So you can see that that could explain a lot of the issues he had when he was running marathon and he was experiencing cramping. So it makes sense, not enough water and probably not enough sodium or other electrolytes. Again, you can see that general recommendation is good, but doesn't work for outliers. So that's, I hope, a very clear case in point that you cannot provide generic advice. You need to tailor it to people, the athlete you've got in front of you. And that's why Nick Bear hired his new coach, because he's planning to run an Ironman again, and this time he's focusing on time. The first time he just wanted to finish it, and this time he's trying to improve his PB. So he hired a coach, and the coach, first thing she did was setting a lot of benchmark. So for 1 week she would measure, maybe his VO2 max, his FTP in the cycling, his sweat rate. She even had him do a math test. So anyway, she needs a lot of benchmark, and that will give her the tool for tailored and customized training planning. And that, in my view, makes a good coach that is trying to understand the athlete. So from a physiological point of view, but also psychological. So the more time she spends with him, the more she will understand that he likes to push himself a lot, because he was in the army for years, and it was a bit of the no pain, no gain mentality. So she will know he's probably still have that ingrained in him. She will need to calm him down in his respect, etc. So she will know him better and be able to coach him. So really to take him to the right direction, knowing where he's starting from, what are his qualities and his strengths compared to his weaknesses, and so forth and so forth. Another example that doesn't seem to be that well discussed in forums and so forth, but I think it's a very strong point. That's one that is made by at least coach Macmillan. So he's saying that there is a difference, at the very least, 2 main categories, speedster and endurance monster. So the difference between the two, a speedster, for example, like myself, would have better 400 meters PBs than miles PB, than 5K PBs. And as the distance increase, the PB, the personal best time, kind of drop. So for example, my mile is 5:40, and that would forecast based on the average way people react to training and so forth. Anyway, that will forecast me as a 5K. I should be able to do less than 20 minutes, and it's completely not the case. The best I ever could was 20:45. Then my 10K dropped to 45, which is very slow compared to my 5K time, and so forth. And marathon completely, it's more than 5 hours. So you can see that I'm a speedster, so because of maybe fast twitch muscle, I've been doing a bit of, let's say, bodybuilding for years. Maybe because of I spend a lot of time doing more like high intensity stuff than sheer aerobic training. Anyway, my profile is more geared towards these shorter and more intense events, and I'm less good at the longer the distance is. On the other way around, you would have someone like Sage Kennedy. His mile time is not exceptional, but somehow he managed to almost not lose any speed as the distance increased. And his marathon time, his best was 2 hours 16, which is really good level. So he's an endurance monster in this sense. So Spitzer would be like that. Endurance monster would be like that. That's a very interesting concept, and that's very rich, because based on this simple profiling, you could tailor your training. So, for example, Coach Macmillan is saying if you're a speedster, your speed session would be a bit more intense, but with more breaks. For example, 5 times 400, 3-minute breaks, 5 times 400, compared to a endurance monster who would train more like 10 times 400, but a bit slower. Anyways, that's just to say that there are different profiles. Everybody is different. And for me, a good coach is someone who realizes that and tailor the training to the individual, to the athlete. And that's why I think that cookie, as they say, cookie cutter plan that you can find online are almost dangerous. You could try it, but maybe the plan will be a complete failure for you. And just because the plan is too rigid, doesn't take into account your profile and then how you react over time. A good coach would also do that. He will plan a training, but he will adapt the plan based on how you react after a few, say, weeks or even days. So, for example, a good coach is someone who will see you do a speed training, and as soon as he sees that you're struggling, he might cut the complete workout short. He knows that it will just be detrimental to you and not add any more fitness. So I hope I gave you some food for thought. And to sum up, a good coach is someone who would understand that he needs to tailor the training to you and really go with you in details and help you along the way. In a nutshell, voilà. See you next guy.